fans away. Friday nights and Sunday games, we know all the biggest names. Huddled with the crew we trust. Football feeds the fire in us. Fans Zone Live, we unite under the stadium lights. Every team, every score, we always hunger for more. Friday nights and Sunday games, we know all the biggest names. Huddle with the crew we trust. Football feeds the fire in us. Fan day morning, feeling alive. Jerseys on, we're ready to die. In the fan zone, we'll come on. Let's cheer loud, let's stand tall. Back and forth, the stories fly. Who's the best? Fans can't lie. Touchdowns, tackles, we discuss. Feel the rush. Come join us.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Fan Zone Live. As always, joined by Tim Capper, and our guest this week is a legend, man who if it wasn't for him, I'm not here right now doing this show. I've mentioned it before. What his involvement with the Colorado Crush, and when I got involved in the league and with the Kansas City Brigade, they put me under their wing, helped me put together a fan club, which ultimately led to this day right here in this show. So, Lew, welcome.
Scott, it's great to be here. Hello, Tim. It's an honor.
It's an honor to have you.
Yeah, hey.
You were destined to be here, Scott, with or without. We were just a stop along your tour.
Hey, you guys influence me in so many ways, to the point now where first tailgate every season is the meatballs and weenies recipe that we got.
There you go. Yep.
That's my first tailgate every year. It has to be that.
That's awesome.
And that came from
That's
you guys
awesome.
to us. It made it down to Dallas. I know it was featured on the when Dallas had the Super Bowl. It was featured on the local news as recipes at the Super Bowl. And it's
That's
a
outstanding.
direct line to you guys. So.
Wow. Well, it's a great lineage. Arena football is, as a sport, for the three of us on this, it's the sport we've seen every big play, every great catch, every rebound off the net. I look at it as it's part of the reason I'm passionate, and my love for it is because it's not something I have to read about in the history books. It's something I've seen.
Well, honestly, you'll know more history than you'll ever be put into those history books. So.
I've got to see some of the backside. It was fun working with the Crush and with John Elway. Got me one of these little babies.
Exactly what I was just thinking about.
When they won, Mr. Elway was very generous in what he did with the team. You got to see it. I mean, we had access. He believed in fan support. He did everything he could to keep our fan club going, which we had a ton of members. I think it was up to 700 at one point.
Oh yeah, you guys were an absolute juggernaut. I
and
tried catching up to you guys. We never quite got there in Kansas City.
Yeah, that was the time in the saddle, right? I mean, you guys, if we all could have just hung on a little longer, you'd have got there.
There was some special stuff going on in the league back then, for sure.
Yep.
Sure. So
I could think of, for besides Club Crush, I think you guys are right up there with the original Firebirds Booster Club.
Yep.
Those are two of the stalwarts, I think, of arena football. Going all the way back. So.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be mentioned in the same breath with them because they are legendary. So thank you very much. I had a lot of help. Let me tell you, the people that I had helping me Buck. Uh, we just had a great Randy. I mean, we had a great group of guys who were just as passionate as I was about it. I was kind of the liaison to the team. It was very hard not to fanboy. Let me tell you, that was because I got to go in and set in on every Monday morning. I got to go into the meetings after the game, and we found out who was being a problem, who was doing good. It was one of the great things I've done in my life, and I've got to do some cool stuff. But that was one of the great things. It ended far too quickly.
And Crushzilla, which I don't know, a lot of people probably don't know about Crushzilla.
Right?
The tailgate. It ended up with us.
Yes. Buck and I went and found an old milk truck, and we got the guy to paint it. We made him a sponsor, and he painted it for us. Burnt orange?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
the sliding door inside had autographs for days, all up and down the door.
Yeah, it was an incredible experience. And the coaches, we would have, Coach Daly was unbelievable. He would come out before the game and talk to the fans, and give us, the tidbits. This is what we're looking for against San Jose this week. This is what we're going to try to do. This is who we're going to spotlight. So we're getting this 20 minutes before kickoff, out in the parking lot. So access was never a problem, and the Arena Football League was doing it before anybody else.
I remember Kyle Moore Brown, who's now been coaching for quite a while now.
Yes.
I remember meeting him coming out to the tailgates out there. It was just a great atmosphere, top to bottom.
I got to see Kyle last year at the IFL championship game because he coaches down in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got a Kyle hug, which, if you've ever had a Kyle Moore Brown hug, you know why quarterbacks fear him.
So yeah, every couple of years I get somebody sends me a picture, says, "Hey, look what I ran into." There's a picture of Zilla, just
right,
same color, still there.
Yep.
Well, what I think is funny is that things keep popping up no matter what. I think, what was it, a couple of months ago, guys, that we were talking about us out of the blue, the Colorado Crush field ended up in a random field, and was it Colorado? I mean,
yeah,
what the hell?
So part of the field went to a high school, so you would see when they were doing high school sports on the local sports channel, you would see the Crush end zone with the soccer team with its nets up, and you'd see the Crush end zone. And because they didn't need the whole carpet, so it ended up getting parted out all over Denver. I mean, it's I think some people have it as cut it up and used it as doormats.
Was it Sam Shady that ran into those, wasn't it, Tim?
Huh?
Wasn't it Sam Shady that ran into those?
It was Sam Shady, yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember
Denver.
I remember us doing a whole Google Maps search, seeing if we could find it and stuff like that. And it was like that was so random. But that's what the whole Arena Football family is about, guys. I mean, think about this, Scott. I didn't meet you for years. Lew, technically, you and I have never met as far as I remember, unless we met in Vegas. Can't remember, but that was a long time ago.
We met in Cleveland, Tim.
Yeah, it was in Cleveland. You're right. Oh my God, yeah. But that's just how the whole family is. That's what the family is about. And
it is. The Arena Football family is absolutely the best. And once you're in, you're never out.
Yeah, I mean, and you've been such a part of so many huge things. All of us have, we have different things that we remember through our lives when it comes to Arena Football. And I mean, you've been through, if I remember correctly, I think you've been through what I've dubbed the Blizzard game that was on NBC.
Yep.
I think it was.
We were there.
And then the confetti game.
Yes, the confetti game. If you watch the kickoff at the end of the game, you will see the Chicago kicker dropped it right into my arms at the 12-yard line. I'm also a team MVP, defensive MVP. You'll remember this when Colorado was playing San Jose in the first round of the 2005 playoffs. Colorado was up by a touchdown. San Jose was driving with the ball, and they got the ball on the kickoff in the second half. I'm the guy that reached out and knocked the ball out of the San Jose receiver's arms, and I promptly went to jail in under the Pepsi Center.
Wow.
It wasn't the ball. Yeah. So Monday morning, I have tendered my resignation to Mr. Elway and the entire team, and I walk into the facility. Everybody in the meeting room, 20 people, stood up and applauded, and Mike Daly came back and said, "You are the official defensive MVP for that game," because we beat them by a touchdown, and I stopped their drive. Uh, and I had to apologize to many San Jose fans over the years. And I apologize, but, you know, eh. Uh, so, yeah, and I
mean,
was around trying to save the dynamite back in '88. And yeah, it was cool. I got to work with Mr. Foster on getting the prospectus into some people's hands out here. The sports fan it was a sports chain of apparel and stuff out here in Denver, and they were interested, and I kind of hooked up Mr. Foster with them. And I wish I would have got to keep the prospectus that they sent out. That would have been a nice keepsake, but I didn't get that. But I've been around since day one. It is my sport. It'll forever be my favorite sport. I live
and
for this time
yeah,
of year.
oh yeah, for sure. And again, you getting arrested. That's hilarious. We all remember the days of the Jacksonville Shark player hugging the receiver.
Yes.
And did he get ejected? No.
Oh, he
You
got
know
called
what I
back
mean?
the next week too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I mean,
So there's one tidbit to this story I need to tell you. So I'm in the jail under the Pepsi Center, and the phone rings, and it's John Elway. And John said, "Look, I'm going to get you out of this. There's no way you can go back to your seat." And he goes, "If you come up to my box and they get you on camera, there's going to be hell. So you have to leave the arena." So I went across the street to Brooklands and had a couple beers and watched the second half of the football game. I didn't even get to be in the building when we beat them. But yeah, it's one of my favorite things in life. It really is.
oh man. And you know, I guess it's funny. I've known you for as long as I have to know that
Right.
all three of us, and like many others, we can be very vocal about certain things especially when it comes to arena football and how we feel
Absolutely.
about things, and how a lot of us don't hold back. Especially if we on
I'm
our
getting
side.
better about that, Tim. I am getting better.
Well, you know what? I mean, it took what happened last year to humble me. I will admit that wholeheartedly. What happened last year, I got completely humbled by it. And um, I don't think I ever asked you, Lou, is when the league, because I had the luxury of being at the last Arena Bowl in 2019 in Albany,
Mm-hmm.
having our friend from overseas, Giancarlo, be
Oh,
able
yeah,
to
absolutely.
be at the game. What were your thoughts when it really did look like, despite what came back in 24, the league folded in 19?
Yep.
Was that really it for us? Is what we thought that arena football was completely dead?
Yeah. In 19. Yeah. Yeah. It was kind of crazy. I got to see the disheartenment on John Elway's face in 2006
Mm.
when if you go on Arena Fan and look at our attendance, we were always in the top 3 or 4 every year. But we came back, and he was not happy that we had less season ticket holders after winning the championship than we did the year before when we won it. And it's like I remember him point blank saying, "What do we got to do?" And he kind of he led on to me that if when the players association stuff came up and it kind of broke the leagues back in 2009, he foresaw that coming 2 years earlier, that it may be coming to the end. So yeah, and in 2019 I still looked at the caliber of play and as comparable to I still don't think anything will be as good as the 2000 to 2009 run of the league with talent, exposure, excitement. We had video games. I actually got to do some of the play testing on the games. I told them that the jerseys were wrong, and they didn't listen to me because I was in the video game business.
Yeah.
So Michael Young with the Crush set that up for me to do some play testing for them. But yeah, 2000 to 2009 to me it's the talent years, it's the exposure years, and the league itself when it came back in its second iteration, uh, what was entertainment and good. It was good to have it back, but I just don't think talent wise it could stand up.
No, not when I mean, in those days too. I mean, when you have players earning six figures and when you're making more money to play arena football than it is to go to the CFL, at
Right,
that time, whether it was a foreshadowing of things to come anyways about what maybe it shouldn't have been that high, but still,
right.
yeah, the talent back then was absolutely amazing. And, the different versions of the AFL, depending on how you look at them, whereas how good the play was, everybody has their own opinions. I mean,
Yep.
but I think it's just a matter of, and everybody I think goes back, guys, where it's sure we can nitpick, sure we can be Monday morning quarterbacks, but one thing that people cannot dispute is that the game of arena football has endured. No matter in all
Absolutely.
the iterations, whether it become to arena football becoming indoor football, or the different iterations of whatever league it may be, or teams, etc. It's lasted. Think about this, guys. Next year will be the 40th anniversary of the
Incredible.
test game.
Yep.
40 years.
Unbelievable.
And
Unbelievable.
it's I would like to see potentially. I would like to see maybe Jim Foster somewhat involved in some way, given his accolades in the AF1, if that's possible. I don't know if they're looking at doing that. If they come out with let's say they come out with whatever trophy they're going to have for their championship game this year, are they going to name it the Jim Foster Trophy? Could they name it the Jim Foster Trophy? Because it's
should.
history.
It's his game.
They should.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only right thing to do. Yeah, absolutely,
So-
they should.
Honestly, my favorite championship period is when you had the Arena Bowl with the Foster Trophy, and you had the Kurz and the Nero division or conference championships.
Yes.
I always thought that was a great tribute to all three of the main guys.
So the second iteration of the trophy, not the big, huge monster one, but the second one.
Well, the
Got a
trophy
story about
aside,
that,
I
so.
always thought having a
Oh yeah.
game for each
Yeah.
one of the founders being just.
Oh, true.
great.
No, I'm just trying to give context to everybody who doesn't know the history, the lineage of the trophy itself. So it's
Right.
The replica.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Lou, you obviously have a claim to fame in arena football, and it's not just it's in general in arena football. I would say potentially a larger collection of jerseys and memorabilia. I think that potentially dwarfs what Jim Foster has, even though he may have some other stuff that you may not have. But your collection, I think, is very well known, and I think. And correct me if I'm wrong. During the latter years, I think of the Arena Football League, weren't you featured in one of their little vignettes about your collection?
Yeah, I was, and it was it has slowed considerably because there's not a lot out there that I collect. I managed to get a Alabama Vipers AFL jersey last night. But yeah, they had me on. I think they came out to where I was living at that time and shot my helmets on the wall and stuff. And I've got a rather good jersey collection from over the years. Before I was collecting before it was in vogue to collect stuff, and it's slowed. But it's only because I can't find anything I want. I would like to get, if anyone has a New Jersey Blackjacks home jersey, I would definitely like one of those.
Oh yes.
Or not New Jersey, Atlantic City.
Atlantic City. Was
Yeah.
it
That was
who
great.
got a
most of
hold?
the stuff.
Didn't somebody get a hold of the alternate jersey for the Blackjacks that was supposed to be worn if they had played in 2020? I
I
know
had heard,
somebody.
yeah, I had heard
Yeah,
somebody had gotten the entire kit and caboodle of everything before they, when they close shop, and is setting on it. So you never see blackjacks unless you see a replica. You never see game worn or
yeah,
helmets or anything.
It's just
and,
good looking jersey, good looking.
It was a
Everything about that
great
was
looking
great
jersey.
design.
Yeah.
and if they had actually done what they're supposed to, I think we need to reach out to Coach Ron James, and try to find out some stuff from him, because I remember one of my fun stories with Coach James, speaking of the Blackjacks, is I went to go see their opener in Atlantic City, and afterwards, myself, a couple of my colleagues from Arena Fan, and a couple of friends who came down after the game, we were walking the halls of Boardwalk Hall, and we just go into Coach James's office and just sit there and shoot the shit.
Oh,
I
that's
mean,
awesome.
that's what I love, and
Absolutely.
it's there are many people that I've never met. Scott, I think you do. I think you'd agree with me. I think Lou, you'd agree with me too. There are people that you knew you never got to meet. One being for me,
Absolutely.
Coach Markham would be one for me,
Yep.
obviously. But
I was
yeah, I
actually
mean,
shocked the other day, Tim, to find out you'd never met Coach Arvett. I was
no,
shocked to
it's
find
true.
out you had
No,
never
it's
met him.
true. Again, there probably are some coaches that I never did meet during my days at Arena Fan. It's just a matter of where he was, being in the West Coast, me being in the East Coast and stuff like that. So it's,
Right.
but still, I mean, and Lou, I know I recently sent you the Baltimore Brigade Arena Bowl jersey.
Yes.
Few years. Well, I would say
Yes.
possibly a year or so back.
Yep.
And I know you have such a large collection, and I may have asked you this before, but out in public, if you were to this is tough. If you were to choose your favorite item or items in your collection,
I've two really easy ones is I have Jim Foster when he was in town. It was, and I forget the game, but it's the night that they put out the program, and they had Denver in Wyoming. It's from. Do you remember that program? They show the map where all the teams are, and they had Denver was in Wyoming. Jim
Yeah.
Foster was at that game, and this was after I tried to get the prospectus into the hands of the hat store here in town, or the hat company, and he came to where I was at and took his lapel pin that he had in his, kind of a prelude to the pin business. He took his lapel pin, his Arena Football lapel pin, off his jacket and gave it to me and said, "Thanks for trying." And that moment was really great. I also have the Iron Man trophy from the New Orleans night. The player's name is escaping me here. I believe it's from the 1988 season, or no, 89 season. So I have the actual trophy. So I
89,
don't.
was that the barnstorming year where everybody was traveling? Is that 89?
89 was the traveling year.
Yeah, maybe it was 90.
Because wasn't New Orleans night from 90 to 92?
Yeah, it was 90.
Yeah.
So, Barney, what's his first name?
You showed me. I'm sure I
You're
could
going
look up
too
and
far
find
Yeah,
out
back,
quickly.
guys.
You have to forgive me. I'm getting elderly with this sport. So,
Yeah, again, it's funny. If I remember tonight, it's funny, Lou. I have a replica of the Crush burnt orange jersey in my
okay.
collection. I should have worn that one. I didn't even think about it. I should have worn that. But yeah, man, as I said, it's the league, the game itself has endured. Certain parts of history we haven't really liked. But we'll always remember, as I said, I think it was the days where, whether it be through Arena Fan or through the different message boards at the time, et cetera,
Right.
et cetera, you got to look, you got to meet people.
Absolutely. I mean,
And
I could literally,
yeah.
there's 500 guys I haven't met that I would let in my house tonight to have a beer and watch a game with. It's a fraternity, is really what it is. We're all uh, brothers for the cause,
Mhm.
and we want to see our sport persevere. I don't like what I saw last year, but I'm that didn't take me out of their corner of the ring. I want to see them get it right and get it going
Yeah.
and return to the arena name.
Yeah. Are you gonna head over to Ross and try to find one of the game balls, which seem to be
I
popping up across the United
I
States?
I saw that today, and yes, I will be going over there. Yes, I will.
I'm hoping we have a store that's similar to what Ross is up here in Canada. I'm gonna check one of those. It's a
Well, if I
Winners.
find one, I'll let you know on the message
Okay.
boards.
Sure. Thank you.
Send it up to you.
Yeah.
I ship everywhere, so
Yeah. Um, uh, let let's talk about. I'm curious to know your thoughts. As I said, there have been some ups and downs. 24 was very interesting how it had occurred, and 25 seemed to be very similar to how we were hoping that 24 and 25 weren't going to be carbon copies of each other. Kind of started off that way a little bit, but
yeah.
overall, what's your thought on AF1, Lou? Because as I said, things started off rocky. They
Yeah.
seem to be getting better so far. All the games have been played despite certain issues with certain teams and
Right.
whatever it may have been. But what's your thoughts been on Arena Football 1?
Well, it's got to go through this. I've never been a big fan of mass expansion for the sake of mass expansion. I would have came back this year and played with 6 to 8 teams, solid teams. Got Jay Gruden involved. Um, you know, tried to make sure that every game got played without incident, and then take the next step from that rather than trying to jump stairs and fall and slipping and falling, because that's kind of what it's felt like. They've the game quality on Evergreen has been great. On Vice, I mean, they're way ahead of the National Arena League. I got a National Arena League team here in my own city that I don't even want to go watch, if you can believe that.
Mm,
My wife about coronaried on me when we went to one of their games, and I was busy on my phone because it was just so boring.
oh,
But I think that it's growing pains. Is any small business in its second year is going to go through. It doesn't really matter that a lot of the guys involved. I mean, the economic times that we're in now are a lot different than it was in '87 or 2010. Uh, it's harder to get people's attention. I mean, you know, they're on their phones. They've got so much going on. It's hard to get people to commit to a niche sport, and I think that's one of the things they're battling. You
yeah.
know,
I agree, but I think a lot of people, however people feel, I think being able to bring in the people that they have for the Arena Football 1 HQ, um, it, having the experience of Jerry Kerr's in there,
yeah,
um, you know, everybody's made mistakes over the years,
yep,
of commissioners, Jerry and others. I mean, but he has his connections. He has his connections, and
yep,
he's been able to prove. I mean, getting on Vice. I don't expect
right,
that for a first year league. I don't think anybody did.
right.
And then Gary Compton. Oh, that was
Love Gary Compton.
that was a
Mm,
coup in itself. I think
yeah,
getting Gary.
yeah. He's one of my favorite players back from the Mustang days. He was the little engine that could. There was no stopping that guy.
I
Yeah.
mean, I
Oh,
mentioned getting on Vice, and part of that is part of the reason to at least encourage expansion quickly. Is those games are expensive to produce. They're expensive to get out there, and if you can split all those costs amongst 12 owners instead of 8, that's a significant cost decrease. So I mean, I get the desire to want to get big fast. I mean, it should, in theory, make the whole product more stable. But if you don't have stable owners, you're just making it less stable
exactly,
in the long run. So it's
exactly.
just finding those right guys. I mean, if they can get 20 billionaires to line up, hey, expand by 20, go for it.
Absolutely.
But it's
Yeah,
it's
this
just getting
would
the
to
right
me.
people.
It's always seemed like this would be, because I work with streaming, one particular streaming company for a product. This seems like it would be a natural to take to Amazon. or somebody and say, here's a sport with a legacy. You can get it for nothing. Just put your money behind it, and then it would go like crazy. You know, they would actually have a 40-year-old property that's not the NFL that they could run during the springtime. It's always, I know everybody wants at UFL and stuff, but to me, spring football's all, at least in my life. And I had season tickets to the Denver Gold all 3 years they were here, but nothing has ever been as good as the Arena Football League, even when I haven't had a team. But it would just seem that there's an opportunity with some big streaming services. They're looking for properties. This would be a property that they could get that's got a 40-year lineage, like you said earlier, that people in the mall are like, oh, I remember that. Oh, I've seen that. There's a quick, uh, they can relate to it very quickly. They've seen it somewhere.
And I was encouraged last week when Titus mentioned that the league's actually getting paid to broadcast their games. I mean,
That's excellent.
that's a big deal. Even if it's just pennies, it's still a.
I don't think
big
that happened once in the 90s and 80s.
No, it
So-
kind of did change. I think, just recently too. I think both of you know this because I know Lou, you keep track of a little bit of the CFL, but with CBS Sports Network paying the league $1 million to broadcast CFL,
Right.
I mean that's unheard of.
Yep.
But it just goes to show, despite with the way the television is today, there are products that are worth paying for.
Yep.
And that's where the AF1 has to get to. But so far it seems to be so far so good. I mean, on a startup sports network channel,
Right.
with Vice's pedigree name, because they did have a name, but things have changed. Things have changed.
Yep. I think the quality is really good. To me, that's, if you want to look, even with what's going on in some of the cities in the background, but if the broadcast quality looks good, that's how you're going to get people to come back if they're looking at it. It's like, oh, this looks professional. Okay, it doesn't look like the NAL.
Yeah. No, I get that. I said through, again, hiccups, but it endures. But the game endures. Speaking of the game, and I love your little hint there, a little couple minutes ago. But you have created something for arena football fans, historians, etc. That I guess you can give us an update that seemed to be have been taken very well by fans.
Been incredibly received.
Yeah, this new set of historical team pins, which is something that I don't think has ever been done, as far as I know, other than what the league may have created for internal, for the executives, for guys that they're wooing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But something that you have done it's just they're so spot on, and as Scott and I have shown, these pins aren't small.
No, they're
pins are
2
not
inches tall. Yeah, to get the detail you want, you got to do it a little bit better and a little bit oversized compared to what you would buy at a game where they're trying to get $15 out of you for a 1-inch pin. So this is my love letter back to the sport. I feel I felt compelled to do this because I'm in the pin business, and I would have bought every one of these as a consumer. But I'm starting with the 1987 season. I'm going to progress. I'm going to do every year. I should be getting artwork back for Detroit, the New England Steamrollers, the New York Knights, and Los Angeles Cobras next week. And I've got Washington is en route to me now for the month of June. I roll one team out every month. The way my Pinforce ships is we do releases on the 8th, the 18th, and 28th. You can buy the complete set, like you see right there, on the 8th, or you can, if you just want the Chicago Bruisers. I have people who just bought the Chicago Bruisers pin because they just wanted the logo, and that's fine. I think once people get them and they see what this set's going to look like once I get into year 4, and as I widen it out, I think people will be back for the helmets and the jerseys. So that's you get the logo on the 8th, you get the helmet on the 18th, and you get the jersey on the 28th, or you can buy them all in one set at a discount on the 8th as well. So, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to do the Arena Bowl logos as I'll do one set of the first 4 once I get to the end of
wow.
yeah, so I'll have the Arena Bowl logos coming as soon as I get past the 4th season, 91.
I've already told you, if you can get it to the point where you are doing the Toronto Phantoms ones.
Oh, I'll get there.
Yeah, Lou, I'll buy those in a heartbeat, because that
Okay.
was that was my team too. And I have to ask you, because people who know who Lou is knows obviously about your fandom. As you said before, you're in the pin business, and you have a huge pedigree in the pin business.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
It's not just Pinforce. It is fan sets, which
Yes.
if Star Trek fans know, that's the place to go, especially if a new show comes up on TV. That's when it comes to Star Trek. The last one was being Star Trek Picard. Sooner or later, fan sets will have those pins up. And it's funny, Lou. It's hard to call them pins now, because the one that
It's almost jewelry.
Yeah, the one you graciously sent me, the communicator.
Right.
They're great for, and I'm not into cosplay, but they have magnets. They're magnet backed. It's not like, even though the arena football ones that you've done do have the pins on the back, the I guess we'll call them pins. But still, you have grown your multiple passions into, I think it's 4 companies, many different licenses. I'm curious to know what was, obviously I know that you are a longtime fan, but what finally made you pull the trigger on doing this arena football set?
I've had it in the works. I actually had the art for Denver and Pittsburgh done in 1988. And I was, or 1988, geez, 2019, sorry, old man moment. But I actually had them done then, and then I was going to try to go and get licensed to make them. People don't return calls. I've tried to line up licenses with every one of the leagues, and their people don't call back. But it's been such, that set means so much to me that everyone can see a logo or a helmet or a jersey, and it takes them somewhere. If they're truly in the fraternity, it takes them somewhere. I can look at the Pittsburgh, and if you notice on the jerseys, I'm trying to put the impact players. Russell Hairston, that guy was unstoppable.
And that's what I was going to ask you, is who are the numbers that you chose?
Gary Mullen was Denver's. Russell Hairston for Pittsburgh. Mike Hold for Chicago. And I forgot who Washington was. Geez, it's escaping me.
It'll come to you, Lou. It'll come to you.
It'll come, yeah. But so that's kind of the, behind the jerseys, that's kind of the effort, is to put the player. I mean, I'm Freddie Gales. I love Freddie Gales. He'll be on one of the Albanese. He was a great player, one of my favorites. But
it was his birthday, I think, just yesterday, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's kind of the point, and it's just, I don't know, what inspired me was everything I've done in my life professionally has been around something that was a hobby. I've 40 years into the video game industry now, 42 years into the video game industry now. arena football, my love for Star Trek is what led me to go after the license with CBS. And I've actually made stuff that's appeared on the episodes of Star Trek Discovery, Star Trek Picard. That's a pretty cool thing that the prop master saw stuff and said, "Yeah, we're going to use your stuff on screen." So
So, and if you're watching
that's
now, if you scan that QR code up there, it'll take you right to this page you're seeing on the screen. It'll take you right to his website where you can get these pins, and you can go from there to see all the other different properties he's got. I mean, it's absolutely incredible.
so these things will be available in perpetuity. The last thing I want to is make anyone feel like, oh, you got to go do it today. If you want to wait till your team comes out, if you're a Dallas Texans fan, we'll have probably all three of their helmets at some point in time. But they'll always be available as long as I'm walking this earth. Just for the sake for as my love letter back to the sport.
How did you come up with? Where are you getting the art from? Because obviously, way back when, as we know, getting some art, getting the actual art itself is
Was
not like today.
impossible.
Have everything digital and everything's been
Right.
digitalized and everything's Photoshop and et cetera, et cetera. How are you able to come across the art for all of these?
Well, there's some. I've had a lot of help. There's some guys out in the field that are. Bill Jones is a phenomenal resource. You can go and look at his stuff, and I've reached out to him a bunch, and he's been more than great to help. Uh, the jerseys is a funny story because I've got pretty close, I think, to over 1,000 games on DVD from the league, and from that I've bought in collections, traded with other collectors online. But my video collection is pretty darn good, so I could get great references, and I have for everything that we do, I have artists who are on staff, so that's I just put it down in front of them and they create it. They're the talent.
That's
So
that's that's so cool, and it's and I ask you this. I think I asked you this the other day. I'm gonna, but I'll do it in public here.
all right,
What made you choose that version of the Chicago Bruisers logo? Because
okay, so
if you're a longtime fan, you'll know there used to
yep,
be two. They've been two logos for the
yep.
Bruisers. What made you choose that one?
Quality of the graphic that I could get reproduced. And it always comes down to that because I'm doing stuff with comic book screen printing comic book covers, and sometimes it's just really hard to get a quality graphic to work from and that the factory can manufacture. So that's why I went with that. Very colorful also with because you could get the blue, the lettering and the striping in. uh, but yeah, it comes down to just the quality of what I can reproduce, striving for as much accuracy as possible. But that was the decision on that. Getting the other three for the 87 set was very easy, but Chicago's was getting, I sent it to the factory 3 or 4 times and they're like, we're not gonna be able to get the lines looking right and the colors come out right. So that's what led to that, using that rendition of the Chicago Bruisers logo.
And I'm glad it's that one that you use because for those, arena nerds like myself know that there was actually a third logo for the Chicago Bruisers that was originally announced. It was horrible.
Yes. Yes.
Scott, remind me and I'll show you, but it's just absolutely horrible. If you're to look ahead, Lou, at all the logos at the league that's always been in arena football that's come
Okay.
out, which one do you think will be the hardest to produce?
Okay, from a helmet standpoint and getting it accurate, the white Albany is going to be. Fortunately, I have a white Albany helmet, so we can, I can use that as modeling for the artist. But Albany's white helmet and of the logos, man, Geez, I don't know that answer, Tim. The Zubas jerseys are going to be a test of skill.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
the Zubas jerseys are going to be a test. So,
So,
You know what you should do? 'Cause I have the graphics which I can send to you. I
okay.
think one of the cool things that you could do is once you start getting into the periods of the Tampa Bay Storm, doing a pin for the one Tampa Bay Storm helmet that was never, ever on field.
I've never seen that. I would
Yeah,
love to see that.
I'll shoot it to you off air. It
Okay.
was a yeah. It's I think it was late. It was before they went to the their Tampa Bay Lightning era of
Okay.
colors. Just before
Right.
that.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, it was in the logos on demand site. It was never used.
Oh, well.
I think if I'm not mistaken, the LA Avengers did the same thing too, but they never played with that a particular helmet in 2009 because the league didn't exist in 2009.
Right.
So I'll have to remember that because I
New York
probably have a few
Dragons
things
did their
I can send
redesign
your
as
way.
well.
Hmm?
New York Dragons redesigned in 2009 as well.
Oh,
That's right.
yes.
I
Yes.
actually have one of those helmets.
Yeah, I can think of somebody who would really enjoy that being Ben Fraternale. He would love a pin of that specifically, I think. So,
So, just to go back, so like in '89, when in 4 months, 5 months, when I get to the '89 season, I will redo the yellow helmet for the Dynamite. Any substantial change to a helmet will be an addendum to a set. It won't be sold with the '89 set. It'll be sold
mm,
separately. But I'm going to, or if somebody changes the logo, like Albany, well, I'll have the white helmet logo, but then I'll have uh, the bird logo that they use separately.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
So
so
when it comes to like licensing, most of these teams are long gone.
I was
right,
going
Losing
to ask
those
this
rights.
question. Yeah.
But I feel like think back to like the Miami Hooters. How difficult is that to?
well, they're in bankruptcy, so
True, it's like he use all the money we
It's
get.
true, actually.
yeah, they're in bankruptcy. So I don't really expect any trouble with them. The absolutely would respect if somebody reached out and said, "Please don't do this." I would absolutely respect their wishes. It would be a shame because it would make the set incomplete. But uh, I for the most part, and I do a lot of stuff with public domain stuff as well. Um, I don't foresee running into any problems with anything up until Arizona and Jacksonville.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
and
that makes sense.
you know,
Barnstormers, no issues. You don't think we'll run over?
Oh, I never thought about the bond. But
yeah, Barnstormers maybe too. Yeah, but
it's
I'll
it's
I'll ru-
possible. It's possible
huh?
Foster will give you a pass. I mean, come on.
Right, come on, hook a brother up, man. I've been there since day one.
I say even. I guess you could even go to. Green Bay had a stint in the AFL too, didn't they?
Green
Blizzard
Bay?
come over? Or did they move to the IFL before?
No, that was the Blizzard of AF2.
Right.
Yeah,
Did they come in 2010?
no, they didn't play arena.
So they went to IFL 2000 by
Yeah,
2010.
yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's
It's hard to keep up with some of these sometimes.
yeah.
And I'm only doing 50 of these, so I mean, it's not like they're if they want a cut of the sale of 50 pins, I will happily give them that. Normal licensing fees, 10 to 15% to make it work. I'd do it in a second.
And that's the normal thing today these days. Other than the stuff you make for Star Trek and the other, I'm sure some of the comic book stuff, is that usually these days and I say quote unquote small quantities. I'd say
Right.
quote unquote small quantities, but that's the norm. In
Right.
order to make things reasonable, that's what the norm is when it comes to creating these stuff. And as you said, Lou, you're not trying to create FOMO,
Right.
but because you've even stated that if a particular team or logo becomes popular enough, you'll have it reprinted. I'll say reprinted.
Right. Right. If I sell out, I'm very close to selling out of Denver on the first run.
Wow.
Yeah. So if I sell out Denver, I'll just order 25 more, and I want to make this available for fans, and it's not, and I don't care how they buy it. you know, I have to have somewhat of an organized fashion to bring it out. And so that's how I landed at doing it by year rather than willy-nilly pick a team. This way people, you know, I deal with collectors, and collectors like a schedule. You know, they want to know when stuff is coming out. They don't want to know when their comics are coming out or their action figures or whatever. So that's why I came up with the one team a month deal,
Yeah,
you know, and starting at the beginning.
yeah. And it's funny too. It's like before you had done this, and we're talking about your about fan sets. Is that, and I probably knew you knew about it too already because obviously I knew you were dealing with CBS and Star Trek. But it's I would see something in one of the one of the teaser trailers. I'm saying, hey Lou, are those coming out?
Yes, you would. Yep. 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 Yep.
So
We
um,
we're privy to a lot of stuff from
oh,
them
for sure.
because
For
my stuff's available on StarTrek.com. We've done tons of launch stuff with them for San Diego Comic Con. Uh, we're 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 a legacy licensee with them now. So
Oh wow, that's
yeah,
cool.
so we've brought out more. I've brought out more licensed product for Star Trek than anybody has ever released. Um, Hardline. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah. Um, why how did you come to determine that you needed four sister companies?
Um, just effort wise, I've got business partners in fan sets. Pinforce is my own deal. I didn't
Okay.
I like, and you know, and I've got a game. One of the companies is a game store online. One of them is Lego Figs. So the you know, it was a way to kind of separate because fan sets is I'm not sure that one of my partners would even know what under arena football is
Hmm.
in fan sets. So I didn't want anyone saying, well, you know, we need to make a delta this month, not the helmets. And this way, I keep that under my thumb, and I I dictate what releases. So uh, that I just wanted to keep it separate, you know, and it's kind of weird as you look at the Pinforce site there. It's like, well, there's all kinds of superhero stuff and blah blah blah, and then arena football. You know, and this is kind of encouraging me. I might go back and do WHA and
Oh wow.
do a WHA line of I've been kicking it of doing a puck with their logo on it, the jersey, and then the regular logo, but doing a puck or some third piece to do with the WHA.
Okay.
You
That's
know,
cool. And
it's
it
fun.
it kind of makes sense though too, Luke, because when I found out about the three other sites besides fan sets, it kind of made sense to me anyways, because everybody knows when it comes to sci-fi, etc., mostly sci-fi, they think of fan sets. It made sense to do a separate sister site for each of the ones that I saw that you did. It made sense because
Thank you.
they have their own site that the people would go to. Star Trek
Right, an
people would go to.
identity.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it made sense. It made sense. And it would, I will admit, it really would look weird to have a Delta right next to Arena Football League
Right.
logo. So
Right. Yes.
so it made sense. Um Lou,
Now you give me some ideas for dressing up for games in the future. So,
yeah, well, hey, with Lou keep on talking with Lou keeps on talking about all these different helmets and stuff, Scott. I mean, gee, do we have the Barnstormers single eye that they use in the
Ooh,
preseason?
that
You
would
know
be a
what I
great
mean?
one.
And it's like
Yeah,
we got
absolutely.
that Tampa Bay one that I just told Lou about, which I'll have to
I
send you
want to see that.
yeah, I'll send you the
You've got my
graphics.
curiosity peaked at that,
Yeah,
Tim.
send you the graphics on
I've
that
never
one.
seen
And
it.
um, uh, looking forward to everything, as I said, being a part of the Arena Football family. What's what's the one thing that you have besides the stuff with the crush? Because that's some cool stuff.
Right.
What's one of the things that you, as part of the family, are that stands out to you the most? Something that you're going to remember the most when all is said and done. you're on your deathbed, and what's the one thing that you are really going to remember and want to take with you forever into the afterlife?
Well, I was really brought in and felt like I was on the payroll of the Crush. I flew down. We flew with Mr. Elway to the games. We sat with his family. We partied with the team behind, the private events, going on stage to get my ring when they did the ring ceremony here in town. And the people that I got to work with in Club Crush, the people I got to meet around the league. Like, I mean, when we took it on the road to Vegas, we took the truck down to Vegas for the Arena Bowl 2 years in a row. We weren't even in the Orlando, Chicago Arena Bowl, but we were still there partying up a storm. Of my arena memories, that is right up there. That is right up there.
That's what y'all got me hooked. I know that.
Yep. It was a special time. It really is. And anyone who's listening or was around during that time knows exactly what I'm talking about. Scott, you're a part of it, but you were it was the 5-year people who were there cleaning the grills and making the hamburgers and doing all the stuff we just had an incredible team, and that's one of my favorite memories. And knowing that we had such a great impact on someone like Scott to push his arena fandom out into the world, that's a pretty high compliment. And getting mentioned with Albany, I mean, geez, that's top of
It's true.
that's top of the
Again, as I
mountain.
said, you've seen so much, and I can only imagine what the tailgating was like for the Blizzard game. I can only imagine.
We were out there. There was, it was insane. John Bon Jovi came because we played the Soul that day. He came and came out with John, and he didn't come out to the tailgate, but he came out of the building just to see that we were a bunch of crazy people. We were going to tailgate no matter what, and it was a gathering of friends and family. It was like a private event, and we had an arena football game at it because there was nobody there. I'm glad it was on NBC because that I was able to preserve that memory and actually see that. But yeah, that's and I think everybody, Coach Daly, John, the entire staff of the team, when they gave me the Defensive Player of the Game award, that was one of my favorite moments.
Yeah. Like I can imagine, and it's funny. I'm just looking it up now. It's been 20 years and 1 month since the Blizzard game that was held on April 10th, 2005, where
That's incredible. I can't believe that.
3,933 fans. That was the officially announced attendance, despite the Crush selling. I think it was a sellout that day. Either way,
Yep.
Brave that storm to show up for an arena football game between Elway and John Bon Jovi.
John Bon Jovi. I mean, how can you miss that? I mean, I would be regretting it to this moment if I wouldn't have been there for that game. So yeah, it was that there wasn't enough snow. Let me just say that I was getting there.
Well, you mentioned tailgating just not stopping. That's something that definitely carried over, with us. I remember going up to Barnstormer games, and it was just absolute downpouring of rain. And here's like 30 of us huddled up under one easy up, just trying to stay dry before a game.
And drinking a beer.
Exactly. Well, and even now, games, I'm going out to Salina for as many games as I can make it to. And I might be the only one in the parking lot, but I'm tailgating every single one of these games because I can. Yeah.
Scott, let me know the next Salina game you're going to go to, and I'll drive over and meet you.
Oh, man, I wish I would have known that. I had you come out and meet me at Dodge City a couple weeks ago.
Oh, yeah, Dodge City's a quick trip from here, too.
So we'll make that happen.
That's cool. Looking at, as I said, we had everybody's talking about the league that it currently is with AF1. A couple of things have been bantered around here. I've seen on social media, and we're going to talk about the games that happened last week because there were some good ones. For once, the Vice game was absolutely a good game, which I was very happy about. Just out of curiosity, guys, if you had the option to be able to name the championship game this year for AF1, what would you name it?
This can't be Arena Bowl. We don't own those rights.
No, it
Right.
can't.
Wow, that's a good question. I would definitely name the trophy after Jim Foster. Because none of this is going without him. Boy, that's a great question. I don't have an answer for that.
Might have to come
I
back
had
to
one. I don't think it'll be used. I had one which was playing off of the AF1 name of the league. To
Mhm.
me, it was going to be the arena. I think it was AF1 V1 championship game.
See, there you go. That gets a number on it. I like the fact that you would number it from the get-go.
And I think similar. I was thinking something like
Yeah.
one,
So what?
one
it's
world
interesting.
championship.
Yeah.
One,
So we'll see. We'll see what the league comes up with. I'm sure they'll come up with something. And if they have decided to create a new trophy, I'm waiting to see what the glam shots are of that going to be, because there've been some interesting trophies in indoor football, I will admit. Last year missed the mark, but it considering the situation,
last year missed the mark a lot. So
Yeah.
I
think we were just lucky that the trophy wasn't a giant pretzel, so we're okay
Right.
with that one. So
you could have bought several down the walkway. You know what? Without last year, we're not here this year. So
that's true.
that's the I like to look at it from the positive side. Is, baby always falls down when it takes its first steps, and that's kind of what they did. They have the they have it's behind him. It's not in front of him anymore. That you can make good decisions. I think they need to vet the owners better.
Yep.
And not bring groups in for the sake of filling a schedule spot. That's got to stop.
Yeah, I agree, and it's something that Steve Titus mentioned when we had him on the first time this year, Lou, where he admitted that the vetting process was not where it should have been. It just seems so from that point. It's not about, yes, they're talking about expansion, but yet you also see, and it didn't get much traction. Nashville has a new ownership group this year, which is led by Commish Fish, and now John Gruden. And it just seems that it's just a matter of making sure that, as you said, it's just a matter of vetting these guys properly. And even if they just expand by one, And honestly, I think all of us can agree on this one. It's best to do it by at least 2, so we don't have any bye weeks.
Right. Get rid of the bye weeks, man. It's too many bye weeks.
It just costs the teams that much more housing, that much more.
Absolutely.
For everything.
Yeah. And I think the coaches are learning. And we said this the past couple of weeks, Lou. I don't know if you agree with me on this or not, or is that it seems that these longtime indoor coaches are finally learning the arena game, where they now know that, yes, for 5 of the 8 teams to have a legitimate kicker, to be able to use the nets properly, and
Absolutely.
to be able to use the deuce when they do kick it, and quarterbacks. We've seen a couple of quarterbacks come in, and I will admit that Southwest Kansas losing Jalen to the UFL will hurt, in my opinion. I think it will hurt Southwest Kansas going forward, but unless they were able to sign somebody new. I don't think any of the things that has come across the wire yet, but overall, I think, as you said earlier, Lou, I think the play has gotten better. Gotten better, despite the one blip, and it is a blip from what happened in Corpus Christi,
right?
With Albany, but I think overall, as we've seen, these teams are getting better. Week 1, Coach Arbet in Nashville basically had a preseason, had a training camp team.
Right.
And look where he is now. Yep. Despite their loss this week to Albany.
But they're competing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the degrees of step that you want to see, is that it improves every week upon itself. It gets better and better, and that's That's all we can hope for, I think, is that they'll have going into the third season, you know, there's no longer, you can't make mistakes like Corpus
Mhm.
next year. I mean, because you're gonna disprove your quality if
Mhm.
you go forward with no one's gonna believe you.
Yeah,
I mean, and social media, think how bad it would have been for our sport if social media would have been around back in
oh,
the oh my
oh,
Oh,
gosh.
yeah, no kidding. No
Oh my
kidding.
gosh.
Brian's
You
kind of
know,
bringing that up with Corpus. As far as we know, from what we were told, that there were flights booked as of last week for Corpus to go to Oregon, and actual, true professional players, not guys pulling off the streets. So, are they going to win tonight? Who knows? But
There was
they're going to
traction.
put
There,
it.
there,
They're
there
going to
were there
put
were
it.
transactions. So the guys they were despite their rumors of their death, I guess were greatly exaggerated, but Corpus still is around. And by the way, it's funny here. You would know this, and I think Scott, you would know too. Brian made another comment earlier when we were talking about the trophies guys. He said, "Bring back the Hardy's Cup."
that's right. The broken, not the broken one.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure you had stories on that. I think you told me that story.
I was there.
Oh yeah.
I was in Pittsburgh. If you watch, you'll see me. I didn't get on the field, but I'm front row cheering, and I made it it was one of my. I had to. I think I had to sell blood to scrape up enough money to go to that game, but I was going to go because of the dynamite was in it.
Hmm.
And if you remember, if we would have brought in 200 more people, remember the last week of the regular season of 87, whoever had the highest attendance was going to get the game. And between Denver and Pittsburgh, and the highest average.
Yep. Yep.
So when we lost out on that, I was like, I'm going anyways.
Yeah.
So I got to see the game in the igloo. It was great.
That's cool. That's cool. And for those who don't know, that was the first iteration. That was the very first trophy of arena football was the
Yep.
Hardy's Cup, and the league had a sponsor. The league had a sponsor, and I want to hear Jim's recount again of how that came about, or maybe Jerry might know too. It's yeah, but as I said, it's um despite what all the stuff that's going on, Albany has just been a juggernaut.
Yep.
They've had their ups and downs, I will admit. I mean, look at the game last week that they played,
Right.
versus Salina. Who would have thought?
Right.
Um,
Escaped with their.
yeah, and Nashville was in the game this week up till
Yep.
halftime, and then just something happened in the third. But still, it just goes to show that these are teams that are getting better. Some more than others. Billings, I think Billings needs a better test. They did get a new quarterback.
Right.
Mind you, Washington had a new quarterback too, but I think it's just a matter of what happened there. But overall, from what you've seen, I mean, has anybody really stood out to you, Lou, when it comes to the teams this year in AF1?
Well, like you said, Albany is a juggernaut. I mean, it's essentially an arena all-star team for this league. Um, I've been some of the better games have been when you've had some of the lower rung teams play. Because you can look past the talent and just get to the entertainment part. The game as it was entertaining. Washington's come from behind again, where they were down 28 points at one point and came back and beat Oregon. I would say that every player on Albany is deserving of an all-star vote in some form.
Yeah, Coach Ware, even though he hadn't really had an indoor pedigree, he's
Right.
he's really taken to heart what is in the rule book. I mean, we
Right.
saw it last year when he was the first coach to try the 4-point play, and then there
Right.
was some wackiness last year. But yeah, it's again, it if you were to give your top three, despite what it comes out every week when it comes to the rankings and stuff like that, Lou,
Right?
who would you what would be the other two teams you put behind Albany?
Southwest Kansas and boys. After the Albany game, probably Salina.
Okay.
I'm not convinced on Nashville yet. I'm just not there yet with them.
Yeah.
Well, and then you got the other thing to factor right now too is you got Billings with a brand new top tier quarterback essentially, and
Mhm.
Southwest Kansas that just lost their quarterback that was at least top 3 in every passing and rushing category.
Right.
That's a huge hit unless they pull on somebody big. That's a huge hit.
No, I don't say Randy Hippert going behind center again. So, even though it was great, since we were talking about Atlantic City before, it was great seeing Randy
Right.
behind center there. So,
Yep.
Well, and he played last year and did well when he came in for.
That's
for
true
Nashville
too.
last
That's
year.
true too.
He did real well.
Some of these offensive lines, though, man, the older you are, you don't want to get behind some of these offensive lines.
No. Oh, here's something I want to ask you, Luke, because you've seen this in indoor football too, and Scott, we've had this conversation before. Are you pro shotgun or anti-shotgun when it comes to arena football?
I am pro shotgun.
Are you?
I am. I'm pro shotgun. I like the because I think it allows the quarterback to see the field better. And with the state of offensive lines, I want him to be able to react 7 yards back rather than having, because some of these guys are just getting beat to death with the shabby offense, and that's the main reason why I like it, is just because I think it gives the quarterback more reaction time. And if you look at least from the indoor leagues, the some of the best weapons are the running quarterbacks, and you're not a weapon as a running quarterback if you're up under center. You got to be able to see the field. You got to be able to run the the option of handing it off or taking it yourself, or just scrambling out. And to me, that is the one thing that you can really see the difference on in 2025, is that compared to the glory years of arena football, the line quality is just not there.
Yeah, because I was about to say, how would a Jay Gruden, a Kurt Warner, a Pat O'Hara work in the shotgun? It's true. I agree with you. I can only imagine what it would be like if they were to play in today's game.
It'd be on IR.
Yeah. So, Scott, I know that I know there were some technical issues with the league website, but I think we have the scores up for this week. Yeah, you have the graphics there for us?
Want to start with Washington, Billings?
Whatever, whichever.
All right.
I mean, as I said, we talked about this here, guys. This is Billings they now have a team where they have a good quarterback. They've had a great kicker for the last couple of weeks in Dean Faithful. By the way, go back and listen to our conversation with Dean that we had a couple of weeks ago. They seem to be a new turf in Billings, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, I'm going to ask you, since you're a uniform guy, Lou, what did you think of their Detroit-inspired I guess, gunmetal grays?
The uniforms this year across the board to AF1 has been incredible. I'm glad Washington went back to they were wearing a really odd looking uniform, like the first 3 weeks of the season, their homes. But I think the uniforms this year have just been incredible. I really like that you can go out and buy them. I've bought a couple of them. I actually bought a Washington jersey, and I don't really have any skin in the game other than it's a good looking jersey. But I think across the board, it's been an upgrade this year for the look of the jerseys. Really good. I've seen iterations of Billings for a long time in different leagues. I'm not a big fan of their stuff this year. I think that there's a lot, there's a lot of stuff they could have incorporated into that jersey. It doesn't really scream Outlaws unless you read it
Yeah, that's
above the
true.
number, and that's what I look for is something that really, you look at the Washington jersey, that really differentiates the jersey from everything else, but yet a fan of that city is going to look at it and say, "Oh yeah, they're from here." And so, but it's a very clean look. At least it's a very, they look like they've had a quality presentation with
Hmm.
the jerseys this year.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree with you, and it's as you said, most of the teams have third jerseys. You wouldn't expect that in year one of the
Right.
league.
Yep.
I'm still wondering. We should still reach out to Commish Fish and or maybe Coach Arbet, try to find out if for their game that the Nashville's going to be playing in Clarksville in a couple of weeks, if they're gonna if they do have a third jersey, are they going to unveil it there? Because to me the Cats don't scream black.
And
I'm
that's the
sorry,
last game of the season
Nope.
for them. So if they do, it's the one and done.
you
Right.
never know. So I'm curious. I'm curious to know about that. But yeah, for almost all teams that have third jerseys, I think Washington broke out their black ones. I think last home game. Um, there's some interesting ones out there. I will admit. I mean, I guess we could call it. It's not a burnt orange, but the bright orange for Oregon. I love. So
I
I
tell
don't
you,
know. Did we lose Lou?
I don't think we completely lost them, but if Washington can get there,
Oh,
We hear you, Lou.
yep, yeah, if Washington can get there on field to match their marketing and their branding, they'd be unstoppable. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
The logo's great, the colors are great, all their design, like they've got the branding down. Now it's just time
Yeah.
to
I'm back.
get the
Yeah.
on-field product to match. There we go.
There you go. I mean, what do you guys can you guys really take anything away from this matchup in Billings last week? Because it just seems that the West Coast teams just seem to be. I mean, we were talking about before about most teams have really caught on to what to do. Was it a case of Washington having a new quarterback for as few a time as they did? And he was the former Carolina Cobra quarterback for
Right.
the NAL team. But can you really is Billings really back just based off that one game, or does Billings need another test?
I think they need a test. I'd like to see them with that against not an Albany, but a Nashville. Someone that's more their peer. But I mean, Washington is. I mean, they're a different story every week. It seems like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they got Southwest Kansas this week, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Whoever's under center for them. So
It's a tale of quarterbacks in that one.
yeah, I
losing
know.
and gaining. So,
I know.
was-
Next game, the Albany matchup. This one, as I said, great first half.
Yeah.
Something happened in the third quarter to Nashville. I will admit, Colcomania seems to be going wild in Nashville. And this was a good game. Albany started off slow, but it just again considering that I said most of the yardage leaders are from Albany.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're saying before, great look. I'll take their orange jerseys any day, especially with the black pants. It gives me
Oh yeah.
gives me a 1999 retro vibe.
Absolutely. That you said was something happened to Nashville in the third. I think it was something happened to Albany in the third. They realized, I mean, they kicked it into gear in the third quarter, and that's where I think the game turned, is that they stepped on the throttle or on the gas pedal.
Yeah, and the score really isn't indicative of what it was, because I think at one point Albany was up by 30, if I'm not mistaken, and so, but still, props to Coach Arbet and bringing them back. But I guess it's who can beat Albany. I guess we'll find out with them having a bye week this week. We'll figure out to see what's gonna happen with them. But Albany looks good, man. I mean, being able to
Yeah.
pull in, the receiver from Billings last year, bringing him in, and he's been a superstar. And Sam Cashanova's been hot, and I mean, it just
Great looking quarterback.
yeah,
And
just
the
yeah.
thing with Albany that stands out to me, it's don't get me wrong, they are a phenomenal team. They are a juggernaut. There's a reason they're undefeated at this point. But I see just enough cracks in their game that they are beatable. Salina has come close. Nashville's come close. I think a retooled Billings is going to give much better challenge than they did the previous few times they faced each other. Yeah, there's enough cracks that I'm not ready yet to buy my flight to Albany for the championship.
Mhm.
Like there's just that slight bit of doubt that, man, you get a bar ball here, bar ball there, all of a sudden done. Albany's over, just like the Dallas team you like to reference all the time.
Yeah.
How great is it to say Darren Arbette as a coach? I mean, I'm very excited for Nashville. I've always loved the Cats. I'm excited for him to have a full off season with resources in the off season to attract talent with the new ownership down there, with the added ownership and what they're going to do next year, because they were kind of like, you didn't know if they were
together
going
at the
to
last minute.
Yeah, you didn't know if they were going to make it out.
No,
I mean,
that's true.
Where would they be if Kolka started this season?
Right.
Where does Kolkamania take them now if they had started from game 0 with him at quarterback?
That's true. And again, I think it all goes to the new ownership group in Nashville. I mean, again, it was done very, very quietly. But still, they've been able to. I mean, and who would have thought that we could say Coach Arbette in the same sentence as Eli Gold as their play-by-play guy?
Right.
You know what
Incredible.
I mean?
Yes.
That's a beautiful combination right there.
Yeah.
I know.
Eli Gold is on the Mount Rushmore of arena football right next to Jim Foster, because that man he was just, no one could call a game like him. No one. I mean, there's been great announcers, but boy, I'll tell you, those TNT days were special.
Oh, I loved TNN and Jill Arrington, and I mean it's what really started off the weekly look that everybody remembers. The weekly look, despite the stuff that was on Prime, despite the stuff that was on ESPN in the early days. It was just more than that, because there was a pregame show, there was a halftime show, and it led up into the NBC days and stuff like that. So, but Eli Gold, GOAT, obviously a GOAT.
Go.
So we still have one more game to finish out this week.
Yes.
But as of now,
yes,
so
I know
at the top here, but
Monday game, Monday.
I mean, Southwest Kansas.
Exactly.
We still have not heard what the final playoff structure is going to be. They were reevaluating that supposedly this week or last week. So hopefully we'll hear soon what the final playoff structure is going to look like.
Do you think they take 6 or 4?
If it's based off of what we were told, but they were proposing last week from Steve Titus, they were looking at 4, which kind of made sense. We've not been able to find out what the actual vote was yet. I guess there are pluses and minuses, because maybe it has to do with the broadcast schedule too and the broadcast partner, but it seems to be that Vice seems to be very open about things. I honestly think maybe it should be cut down to 4. Because from there it's just 2 semifinals and then the championship. So
right.
I don't know.
One good team's getting left out. I mean, you look at Slime at 2 and 5, Billings at 2 and 4. They're both good teams, even with those records.
Right, they're going to get better.
Yeah, and somebody is going to get left out. Does Corpus fall down? Does Southwest Kansas fall? Without Jalen behind center, can they fall that much? I mean,
we will see tonight what type of team Corpus Christi has been able to rebuild with.
Yep.
That's the big question. So, I mean, the only thing that we're waiting for now, because we now know this, is that make sure you have them turned on If you have Evergreen Now on your phone or on any of your devices, you turn on your notification tab because they will now give you a notification when the AF1 games go live. So
Excellent.
Great little
yeah,
reminder. Great little
Yep.
reminder to have that pop up.
yeah, I'd have mine on. I forgot to turn it on, so I didn't have mine for the games this weekend. But I made sure I turned mine on. So
So yeah, it's just getting tight. You know, like I said, they drop it to 4. Somebody's getting left out that probably should be in the playoffs. If they go 6
yeah,
seems like the sweet spot for me right now. But
I'm curious to see. I think
Yeah,
either
that's
way, it still will be a fight because the game still means something. Just because of how the weird scheduling this year. Some teams playing this amount of games, this team another
right.
team playing this amount. But it still gives a meaning to all these games. So I think that's all that really matters. So
Tim, how do you see it? If what I see here that Corpus is in 4th, I mean, do you take them into the playoffs if it's a 4 team or?
they
I
would have
honestly
to.
think I don't think we'll see tonight what happens. I think
Okay.
that's first and foremost. But with all honesty, um, uh, I think what was it? What was it that Steve said last week, Scott? When it came to they were currently at the time they're 2-4. You know, they can end up at 8-4. That's
Oh
I'm
yeah.
just
Right.
paraphrasing, but
Right.
I
Right.
see Billings and Salina probably being more in the mix than Corpus Christi. I
Okay.
think it's just
And
with
honestly,
Corpus
even at
Christi the
this
way
point,
that it is
even
right now.
Southwest Kansas, depending on
Yeah,
how
exactly.
things
It's
go.
kind of misleading. It's
Mhm.
kind of misleading with Corpus Christi. So it's I would say I would be surprised if Billings and or Salina leapfrog Corpus. Wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, I could
So
see a situation where it's Albany, Nashville, Billings, and Salina in the
yeah,
top 4 when
That's a,
all the
that
dust
that's a good
settles.
4.
Yeah, and with Southwest Kansas, again, who's under center?
Right.
That's we all know that's the most important spot.
It is the spot.
So they don't have a whole lot more games left. They've already got 8 down. So they
yeah,
believe they have a full 12.
yeah.
But
And to note to anybody watching the games because of the current situations that we know with the website, the standings are off. Albany is 8-0. Nashville's 3-3.
thank you. I didn't check
Billings
the
is
report.
3. Billings is 3-4.
So
So
we're getting there.
anyway, yeah, exactly. It happens.
We're on tape delay.
There
Yeah,
you go.
exactly.
Live on tape delay.
That's right.
Yep. So the game itself tonight will be starting in about 20 minutes time over on Evergreen Now. Is anybody giving Corpus a chance? I know Oregon has been very up and down. Probably one of the lowest scoring teams in the league when it comes to Oregon. Lew, do you see it at any possible way, unless there's been a really complete overhaul and these guys have gelled in Corpus Christi, that Oregon doesn't win this game?
I mean, if I was going to go and stand at the betting window, I would bet Oregon. But I've seen them that I've watched every one of their games, and they're Jekyll and Hyde. They're one half they're up 30, next half they're behind 16 in the
Mm-hmm.
same game. So, I mean, if I was betting, I'm taking Oregon all the way. Corpus Christi's a wild card. I mean, we'll know, like you said, here after this game if they were able to patch it together. But we've seen that many times. And as Scott said, the quarterback's the most important position. If they don't, you know, I feel bad for their quarterback if offensive line play is what it looks like it might be if you're bringing in, uh, lower quality players to fill
Yeah,
roster spots.
yeah,
Well,
it's true.
the thing with Oregon is they have 2 wins. One of their wins they flat out shouldn't have gotten because it took bad coaching on the other team to give them the ball back in the
Yes.
last minute. That they never should have had their hands on that ball, never should have had a chance to win that game.
Right.
So they were kind of given a gift in that one. Now they still had to score, so they did something right at the end to win that, but they never should have been given that opportunity had the clock been managed better.
Yeah, and their quarterback, by the way, for Corpus Christi, is it Nick Eilers, if I'm not pronouncing it properly?
I've seen him play in the IFL.
Yeah.
I think EILERS.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen him play in the IFL.
Yeah. So he's their on the quarterback that's listed on their roster. What about the games coming up? There's only 2 games in week 10. Um, the Billings game is going to be the Vice game, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it was. I think it's going to be the Vice game. Southwest Kansas at Billings. Billings looks better through 1 game, but mind you, it's who they played, in my opinion.
Right.
Southwest Kansas Storm team who's coming in without their top-rated quarterback. He's now in the UFL. Scott, thoughts?
Like I said earlier, it's about the quarterback. I mean, we know Billings has one. We don't know Southwest Kansas has one.
Yeah.
Until I see that Southwest Kansas has somebody, I've got to go with Billings. Is it going to be the pounding that Billings handed out this week? No, it'll be a better game. Southwest Kansas got a great defense, but yeah, it's got to be Billings, especially at home. They haven't had a whole lot of home games, so I mean, I got to hand it to Billings at this point.
Yeah, I'm on that boat too. Are you on the same wavelength also, Lou?
Absolutely. I got Billings in this one. I actually got Billings big in this one.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Home game. Yeah, I think Billings is going to roll on this one.
Yeah.
They've got something to prove.
Yeah.
And we're talking about Oregon again versus Washington. I don't know where we can go with this one.
Here we go again. We've seen it a few times already this year.
Yeah, I know. I'll just call it a pick 'em.
This is a groundhog rivalry. It's Groundhog Day. It's like, it seems like it's on every week.
Yeah. Well, what was the infamous thing for Groundhog Day? Watch that next step. It's a doozy.
There you go.
Yeah. I guess it'll be a question of which uniform Oregon plays tonight in, and what uniform did they play in next week. So let's hope
do the walls hold up.
The orange,
right?
Yeah. Well,
the walls hold up.
They've made great strides in getting those things better. That's a plus. So, yeah, I'll leave it at that. Lou, it's been a pleasure, my friend. It really has. I mean, it's.
I'm honored to have a chance to sit and talk to you guys about arena football. It is. I call it my sport. In my life, it's just been an honor to get on here and chat with you. It really has. And share some of the backstories of my travels in the Arena Football League. As a fan, it's been the greatest fandom I've ever been involved with. It like everything else in life, it has speed bumps, but you know what? The people you ride with are real quality.
Mm.
Well, that's the best part about doing this show is getting to connect with all these great folks we've maybe new or just the longtime fans, longtime coaches, longtime players.
Right.
But the best part is sit and talk about this game for hours, and we are fortunate enough to be able to do so each week. So
yes, you are.
It's a great opportunity. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, Lou, I mean, continue with what you're doing, man, because as I said, you're keeping the game alive. You're getting the old schoolers remembering what it was. And I'm curious to know if Gene Nudo is going to see those Bruisers pins and going to want to get himself a copy.
I love bringing out product that's 40 years late. And, I'm doing it for the fans and I'm doing it for the sport. So thank you for your love for it. I knew you guys would love it. I mean, it's because I was going to put as much detail into the effort as bringing it out. And I knew the fans who know what they're looking at would appreciate it.
I agree, man. It's just a matter of I'm waiting. I know we've already talked about it and get some of those things here into the house, and because that's Gladiators were my first arena football team, so I got to get that. Make sure I get that.
All right.
So guys, right here, there it is. Scan that QR code. Take you right to his site. Pick up those pins. You won't.
We got it. Before we finish up here, Lou, plug them all the sites. Let everybody know where, no matter what people's fandoms are,
All right.
where
All
where
right.
can they get some of this cool stuff?
For the Arena Football League and DC Comics, or anything Warner Brothers, you can get that at pinforce.com. It'll roll over to the IO, but .com will get you there. Fan sets, we are licensed. I've been honored to make stuff that's appeared in episodes of Star Trek. It's really a legacy piece for me. Star Trek has been incredible. And you can go to fansets.com for that. If you're into Lego figures, you can go to figmasters.com. If you're into video games, you can go to gameforce.games. That's my 40-year-old game store that I've been in business with. And I think that's it. That's it. Oh, and Multiverse Pins. That's our other pin
There we
site.
go.
Multiverse Pins. Sorry. There's always one that's kind of dragging, getting it out. Pulling it along.
Yeah. Again, it was so much fun. I hope people enjoy the show. If you miss any part of the show, you do know it's over on Evergreen now, right, people? It's over on the Arena Football One fan hub. It's over there, along with some of the other shows that I guess we could say that are our sister broadcasts that we're partnering with, I guess we could say. But again, it's fun talking about the game.
Man, it's just been incredible. Thank you for having me on. It's been an honor.
For sure. And Scott, any I know you said you're, as you said, you're possibly in the middle of things. Oh, will be okay for a show next week, or will there be a?
We should. I've got us scheduled now. My background might start changing, but other than that, we should be. I'm trying to plan it so we don't have to miss anything. So one or another
Cool.
make this happen.
It'll say U-Haul behind him next week.
Pretty much.
The new sponsor for Fans On
That's
Live.
right.
This might be the only thing actually left in my house after next week. But
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
And the other plug I want to throw in here real quick, we've kind of been saying the last couple of weeks. If you guys are interested in doing something similar to this, if you're interested in writing for your local team, if you're interested in just getting involved in any way you can, reach out. We're happy to get you involved. This stuff it just takes community. Last year is the first time I'd ever done anything like this. I was always kind of behind the scenes guy. It's been an absolute blast. You get to meet some great folks. Reach out to us. We'll help you get connected, help you get the resources to get you involved, because that's what the fans drive this league when it comes down to it.
You'll never go back to doing anything else as a sport if you get involved.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, 100%.
We got a game in 10 minutes.
Yes, sir.
So everybody head on over to Evergreen, check it out. When that game's done, come watch some of our old episodes. We're on there too. So thank you everyone for coming out, and we'll do this again next week. Lou, hang on the line for a couple minutes. We'll
Okay.
see you in a few.
All righty.
All right. Thanks all. We'll see you soon.
Touchdowns, tackles we discuss. Feel the rush come